Fan. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Welcome into the George Plaster Show on a beautiful Monday here in Nashville. Man, God knew it was football season today, and college football week one, of course. This week, we'll talk all about that. Obviously, the Titans were in action on Friday against the Vikings. We'll recap that result and talk about what Cam Ward and the rest of the first teamers were able to do. Of course, we'll get Kelly's Titans analysis. And speaking of Kelly, we're going to go to Murfreesboro to kick things off right now. Kelly, what's going on?
What's up, Billy? How you doing?
I'm good, man. We're matching today. I promise we didn't coordinate this. This is a little weird.
I know. That is kind of weird, man. Anything that associates me with you, I'm kind of sick of. You know what I'm saying?
At least you're not wearing the glasses that you had on.
You're talking about my blue light glasses that take all the blue light out. I'm weird, man. I understand that, but I'm really conscientious about health and nutrition and stuff like that, and I have more problems than the law allows. But yeah, I do some weird stuff, man.
Brent on YouTube said, "Y'all look like brothers." That's the first time we've gotten that too.
That's great. Thanks, Brent. That's awesome.
No George this week, out on vacation, so we'll be filling the void. George will be in on Thursday for Underdog Picks, so you'll hear from him then. We do have some Titans to talk. No game this week, which George has voiced his opinion on that, and I think we all have how annoying it is certain years that there's no game this week. But we do have Titans football to talk from Friday night. We've got Terry McCormick with us. Terry, what's going on?
Well, the big thing is, Billy, a couple of things. Story I reported this morning, looks like Tajay Spears going to start the season on short-term IR and probably miss the first 4 weeks of the season if that move is made. Sounds like that it's probably going to happen. And then they also let go of 16 players today. Most of them guys you've never heard of unless you're just following it very closely. Two notables. One was Jaquan Jackson, the primary punt returner for most of the year last year. He was let go. After he put the ball on the ground 2 or 3 times last season, Brian Callahan never went back to him as the return man. So out he goes. And then Julius Wood, whom they claimed from the Cowboys last year, and he spent part of the year on special teams until he was suspended for violating, I think it was the performance enhancing policy. He was also waived as among those 16 cuts.
You mentioned the 16 cuts, that punter position, or not punter position, but punt return position with Jaquan Jackson being cut. Does that make way for James Prochet? And if James Prochet isn't the favorite, who would be your favorite, and kind of the depth in that room?
James Prochet probably is the favorite. The only backup option would be the guy that handled it Friday night against the Vikings, and that's Chim DK. Now, John Fossil was asked about DK before the game, and he said that he didn't really have enough experience back there to his liking. But then Brian Callahan said after the game that he trusts DK. So my bet would be that James Prochet makes the team and that Chim DK is the backup returner.
Terry, something else I wanted to hit on, obviously with the Titans getting the win 23-13, Cam Ward, 3 of 4, 36 yards. What did you see from him against that Vikings defense that stood out to you? Obviously, it does feel like each of his performances have been a little bit different. What did you see from him specifically against that Viking defense?
Yeah, it was a pretty solid performance on that. Really only a couple of drives is all, once he got the touchdown drive, and it was 13 plays, 90 yards, which I think, is something the Titans really like to see. Now, how much of that you're going to be able to do against regular NFL defenses, I don't know. The Vikings didn't play hardly anybody that was going to make their roster, it felt like. They have three local guys in Jordan Mason, Theo Jackson, and Ty Chandler. I don't think any of those three saw action Friday night. I think the Titans worked against guys that may not make the Vikings roster, or if they do, they're probably toward the bottom of the Vikings roster. But still, given where this Titans team has been the last couple of years, you take anything positive and you move forward with it. And I think that was a good thing for Cam Ward and the offense to give a good account of themselves.
Speaking of something positive and moving forward, I'm happy for Van Jefferson. Had a great performance on Friday night, 3 catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown. I asked Kelly this before we hopped on the air. Did that game, you think, pump him up, take him over the edge to make the team, or do you think that decision was already made before Friday night with him?
Well, given where this team is and the lack of experience behind Calvin Ridley with 3 young guys in the 2 rookies, Io Manor, DK, and Bryce Oliver, I feel like Van Jefferson was going to make the team anyway. Now, the question is, how big of a role is he going to have? And I think that at least early in the season, he'll probably have a role as the number 2 or number 3 receiver, depending on, how many guys they roll out there with. It's probably going to be Ridley, Jefferson, and Tyler Lockett. Now, how much playing time they get over the course of the season will be determined by a couple of things. One, how healthy and productive they can be. And 2, how much Io Manor, DK, and Oliver begin to come on in practice and in games with the reps that they get. I think before the season's over, especially on a team that's rebuilding, you could see those young guys probably start to overtake a couple of those guys, with Ridley being the one that's the most safe, obviously.
Terry, this is kind of an unprecedented thing because we've only got 3 preseason games. I was used to 4. Everybody's used to 4. And how are the coaches handling this? Because we got 2 weeks now before these guys play. I mean, they've got a whole week off, and then I guess not this coming up Thursday, but the next Thursday is when the Thursday night football kicks off, and then that's when NFL starts kicking off. But how are the coaches with these next 2 weeks? How are they using that and utilizing what? I mean, they giving guys days off? Is it still camp? What are they doing?
Well, there'll be some, days off built in, but Brian Callahan was asked that question, I think, on Saturday, and he said that this upcoming week, the week that we're in right now, he said would be more or less an extension of training camp where they would continue to work on fundamentals, continue to sort things out. Remember, they've got probably a handful of waiver claims that'll get in here on Wednesday, and they'll need to get those guys a crash course in what they're doing so that at least they can work on special teams, if not, find some role on offense or defense. And then the preparation in earnest for the Denver Broncos would begin the following week, although some of that will be incorporated this week just to kind of get a head start on it.
Terry, appreciate you for the time. Obviously, we've got a little under a couple of weeks here, but before the season opening game, we'll continue to have you on throughout the rest of the week and get your reports. Appreciate the time, and have a good rest of your day.
All right, thanks.
That is Terry McCormick from TitanInsider.com, providing the very latest with the Tennessee Titans. All right, let's move on to today's news update, brought to you by Football Night in Nashville. Kicks off September the 4th at Sports and Social in Green Hills. Come out and join us. It'll be the Eagles and the Cowboys kicking the NFL season off, not this week, but next week, next Thursday, September the 4th. Eagles and Cowboys live from Sports and Social out of Green Hills. We'll do our show out there, and come join us for the game. So looking forward to that. Kelly, college football week 0 kicked off over the weekend. Week 1 is here, and man, I haven't seen this kind of weather or felt this kind of weather in a week 1 in a long time. I don't know that people are prepared because it's supposed to be in the 70s, this week in a lot of areas of the Southeast, especially in the Midwest. I think the high in Columbus on Saturday is 72. So there could be some light jackets for some of these noon starts, Big Ten in the SEC. So we got some great weather coming up this week. I do want to get to this, though. Obviously, K-State lost 24-21 to Iowa State to kick off the season. But the father and brother of Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson issued a statement yesterday after video of them fighting after the game in Ireland circulated on social media. This was, if you're not familiar, the father and brother of K-State quarterback Avery Johnson, the starting quarterback who played the entire game. His dad, Mark, and brother Anthony said that senseless bickering led to the fight after the game. And I'm sure a lot of fans watching and our viewers have seen the video. It's just ridiculous.
That was not a good look for the United States of America in Dublin, Ireland. That was, I watched the video, and that's kind of crazy. Like, obviously they were bickering, and obviously one of them was taking up for Avery for the game, and one of them was very critical. So, and then you look at some of the comments, and one of the comments was a person that went to school with him and said his dad just said he was drama the whole time. So you never know what to think of something like that, Billy, but that's not a good look when his son just got beat, obviously, and they were obviously barking at each other. But like when you come to fisticuffs with a father and son, I mean, it's obviously the father who's got to be more mature. And
Yeah.
like he was down on the ground hitting his son. I'm like, that's crazy. I've never seen anything like that before in my life.
And I think some of it, I don't know what happened, but to me, the way Avery played at certain points in the game, because Kelly, we talked a lot about, this matchup with certain people, and a lot of it was about Avery Johnson. George brought up Avery Johnson, K-State's quarterback, and what we can expect from him. He had to live up to a lot. And I would imagine, like you said, somebody said something, whether it was the dad or the brother, and boom. The video, he's got him on the ground. So it's an ugly video. But obviously they issued an apology yesterday, so hopefully they're sorting things out. But that went down Saturday after the game. Later Saturday night, though, and I want to get to this later with Bill Bender, who's going to join us at 4:00 from the Sporting News. Hawaii walked it off with a 23-20 win against Stanford in the late night game that was out in Honolulu. Hawaii broke a 9-game losing streak against power teams. Their last win was 2019 against Oregon State. And on the other end, Stanford, who was coached by Frank Reich and Andrew Luck, the GM, they kept cutting back to those guys late in the game. They are on a 6-game road losing streak for the first time since 2002. And the kicker for Hawaii, he booted the game-winning field goal there for the Rainbow Warriors. Great story. We're going to get into that as well a little bit later in the show. We do have a couple other notes, though, Kelly. Michigan true freshman Bryce Underwood will start at quarterback for the Wolverines. This is not a surprise. He was the number 1 overall recruit in this year's signing class. He flipped his commitment from LSU to Michigan at the last minute. The Wolverines opened the season Saturday against New Mexico before traveling to Oklahoma to face the Sooners. Kelly, yet another guy that is unproven. He's talented, but unproven at a blue blood program.
That's what I'm going to ask Bill when he comes on, because we've talked about it before. I don't think we've ever come into a season where you've got so many young guys that are at these big programs that there's so much pressure, and you just don't know how these young guys are going to handle it. Arch Manning, who's at Texas. I mean, you got the kid at Ohio State, Bryce Underwood at Michigan. You got all these guys that are kind of new in this. I mean, they've been playing quarterback for a long time, but hey, it's pressurized situations when we get to these schools, and that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about with all the transfer portal stuff and all this stuff coming, like, is quarterback play going to start going downhill? I asked somebody that last week. So I think you could possibly see that in the upcoming years, Billy, where it takes a long time to learn an offense, and when you're jumping ship every year, I just don't know if that's a good thing for college football.
You just mentioned all the young quarterbacks. We've got an old quarterback in Lexington, Kentucky. Mark Stoops has named Zach Calzada the Wildcats starting quarterback. He will make his debut against Toledo on Saturday, a game that could be an old underdog pick later in the week. I wouldn't hate that pick if anybody throws that in there. Toledo is not bad, but Calzada's experience helped win him out, win the job for him. He started 32 games in his college career. He's 23-9 as a starter. Kelly, he's a 7th-year senior. He began his career at Texas A&M back in 2019. He was there through 2021, spent the 22 season at Auburn, and then had a couple good years at Incarnate Word. So a little bit of the Cam Ward path here for Zach Calzada. But this guy, he's done a lot. But man, seventh year senior for Kentucky getting the nod.
Well, that's what happens when you get when you get hurt and you get you get that extra year. When guys get hurt, they get an extra year. So I told somebody on the phone the other night, there's a tight end that played at the University of Miami that was there for like 9 years because he kept getting a deal where he would get hurt every year and he would get another year of eligibility. So every time you get another year and you go ask the board of the NCAA if I can get another year, I mean, they kind of honor it. So you could just keep playing. So obviously I know Calzada got hurt. I know he got hurt one year, but yeah, he's kind of rebuilt his career. And you're right. That's where Cam Ward started at Incarnate Word and threw 78 touchdowns in 2 seasons. So, man, this college football stuff's crazy. And it just seems like guys are getting more and more years, like 4 years, 5 years to be done.
Yeah. Staying in the SEC, big development for South Carolina. The NCAA has approved a waiver for South Carolina standout running back Rasul Faison that makes him eligible to play this season. Obviously, they'd been working for months to get him eligible. He transferred to South Carolina from Utah State. He had over 1,000 yards last season. That's a big get for South Carolina to get him back healthy. Rumbling through here, got some NFL notes. The Commanders and Terry McLaurin have agreed to a 3-year deal. That extension's worth up to $96 million. That'll end his hold-in and have him ready for the opener against the Giants. So good news there in D.C. Up in Minnesota, though, they have signed Carson Wentz and traded Sam Howell to the Eagles. So George had talked about Wentz being a potential option for the Titans if they wanted to switch up their backup quarterback situation. Vikings snatch him up, and they've got Wentz now behind J.J. McCarthy. And Kelly, I don't know. I mean, if I'm McCarthy, I don't know if Wentz is better than Howell or how you compare certain backup quarterbacks, but I better be careful if I'm J.J. McCarthy because Carson Wentz has played a lot of football, even though he hasn't maybe played a ton of successful football in the last 2 to 3 years.
Nah, I don't think that's the case. J.J. McCarthy, I listened to their coach after the game when they played the Titans, and I think they like where he's at. I think he's a good player. He was obviously in a scheme where Jim Harbaugh played in the NFL, has been around the game for a long time and kind of mentored him when he was at college. So I don't think that Carson Wentz he started off really good in Philadelphia, but he's just truly a backup, Billy. I don't think there's any competition there, and I don't think you have to look over your shoulder because when you're talking about a franchise guy and you're talking about a J.J. McCarthy who they brought in to be that guy, they're going to give him every opportunity, and I don't think there's any looking over his shoulder.
A really strange piece of NFL news has come across the ticker here in the last 5 minutes. According to Pro Football Talk, Browns rookie running back Quinshon Judkins has not signed his rookie deal and could explore a return to college this season. And in quote, this article states, if Judkins would play in college football this year, the Browns would still hold his contractual rights. If he doesn't sign with the Browns at all, he would re-enter the draft in 2026. Kelly, you would think he stays in the NFL some way, somehow. I mean, there's no way to say.
Absolutely. So where does he go? Does he go back to, is it Ole Miss?
I mean,
no, excuse me, Ohio State. He was at Ohio State.
Yeah.
So does he go back to Ohio State? Like where does that, what happens with that? That's kind of crazy. Everything that's going on in the NCAA, nothing surprises me. And that's one of those weird stories that doesn't surprise me.
No, me neither. We may have, if this progresses, we might have to get somebody up there from Cleveland to tell us what the heck's going on. We do have another piece here from the golf world. Tommy Fleetwood won the Tour Championship for his first PGA Tour title at 34 years old. His long nightmare is over after so many near misses. Finally picks up his first Tour victory yesterday, posting a 2-under 68 to finish 18 under in the Tour Championship down in Atlanta, 3 strokes ahead of Russell Henley and Patrick Cantlay. And Kelly also collected the FedEx Cup and $10 million for winning. And that's his first win in 164 starts. I didn't get to see this live, but man, was I happy for him.
He played really well. He's been in the last 3 tournaments and he's had leads and he couldn't finish it. And he's won 7 times around the world, but I think he's been on the PGA Tour for 10 years, Billy, and he's never gotten that win. And it just shows you how hard it is on the PGA Tour. That's what makes Scotty Scheffler, what he's been doing here lately. I think the guy's got 16 or 17 wins, and we've only known about him for like 3 or 4 years now. People in the golf world have known about him for a long time, but it's he was in the top 10. I think he tied Ben Hogan or somebody like that the other day for, as many top 10s, consecutive top 10s that he's been in. So it's amazing. But Tommy Fleetwood is such a nice guy. There's no phony to him. I think he's a fan favorite. Obviously, he won't be a fan favorite in a couple of weeks when they have the Ryder Cup. But I was happy to see him, and he got a good payday too. Like you said, $10 million. If you want to win one, that's the one to win. Yeah,
it worked out well for Fleetwood. He earned that. And speaking of making history, Cal Raleigh of the Mariners hit his 48th and 49th homers to set the MLB record for catchers. Hit his league-leading 48th and 49 homers yesterday against the A's. That set the single-season record for catchers in passing Salvador Perez's total with the Royals back in 2021. So congrats to Cal Raleigh. What an amazing season he has had up there in Seattle. All right. We're going to talk more Titans. Vikings. We're going to dig into what Kelly saw Friday night from Cam Ward. Big night for Van Jefferson. That was encouraging. We'll talk a little bit about what he saw from the defense as well. We've got some highlights if you're watching on the podcast. But we've got Titans talk coming up right here on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
A golf cart from Mikey's Motors is the perfect way to get around this summer. Whether you're going to the park, the pool, or the playground, do it in a brand new golf cart from Mikey's Motors, Franklin and Murfreesboro.
Summertime fun in Tennessee. That's what we sell at Mikey's Motors. Come see how we roll.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me. The Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling. They enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At Wilson Bank & Trust, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between personal service and digital solutions. As your local independent bank, we're proud to offer the relationships and trusted service you expect, along with the tools and technology that keep you moving forward. So whether you're growing a business, buying a home, or planning for the future, we're here to help. Because this isn't just where we work, it's where we live too. Wilson Bank & Trust, here to get you there. Member FDIC.
Are you looking for expert medical care in Nashville without leaving your home? Medical House Calls brings concierge-level health care directly to your door. Whether you need urgent attention, ongoing primary care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com. Care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
A Monday warrior, mean strike. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride.
We are back on a Monday in Nashville. We are talking Titans and Vikings from Friday night, digging into Cam Ward's performance against the Vikings. Obviously, didn't play a whole lot, only 2 series. Final line, 3 of 4, 36 yards. Kelly, what did you see in watching him? Obviously, this is tough to do, and especially the third preseason game. The cupboard is pretty bare, but did have a few good throws, and obviously had his moments.
I'll be honest with you, Billy. I'm so sick of talking about preseason football. I could throw up. I really could. I just think every time you get an opportunity to go out on the field, you experience things and you get a little bit more comfortable. And I thought that's the main thing that I saw from him the other night. I thought that he felt more comfortable. I'm not saying he didn't feel comfortable in the first 2, but I just felt like he was more comfortable. He's seeing things a little better, and that comes with experience. That comes with just playing. I tell you what, the guy has so many arm angles. I think that's what you have to have as a professional quarterback. You have to be able to throw the ball over the top, get it over guys. You have to be able to throw it between defenders. You have to be able to throw it sidearm, just like this one right here. He throws that kind of sidearm. He threw a bullet, made a really good throw. But I don't know how much you can tell out of preseason. It's going to be a totally different game. I know listening to the press conference with Brian Callahan after the game, he said he saw a couple of things that he hadn't seen. They saw a couple of cover zeros where that means that they have nobody back. They've got everybody up man to man. They're bringing more guys than you can block, and he saw that cover zero, and he was able to make a throw. So things like that he is not going to experience in this preseason, he's going to experience in the season. So he's going against a really good defense in Denver the first week, but they've got 2 weeks to get him more prepared. But, it's a deal right there that's going to be his first game. There's going to be some anxiety there. And, I was thinking about that because I know we were going to talk about it, but even if you're the first pick of the draft, you're the last pick of the draft, there's always this sense of, am I good enough to play in the NFL? Now, everybody's going to say, and all these young guys have confidence, they're going to say, yeah, I'm ready to play. I'm ready to, but you really don't know until you get out there and you actually do it. And you get out there and you actually play, and you play well, and you can do it consistently. That's when you know that you've kind of made it. He's got a long way to go, and I've told people this. I've told the radio audience this for a long time. He's going to have ups and downs this coming up year. There's going to be times where he looks really good, and there's going to be times where he struggles. If he can just get some consistency about it, and if the coaches, which that's what Brian Callahan and his offensive staff and his staff is supposed to do, are supposed to make him comfortable, get him comfortable in the game, and do things that he does well. And I think if they do that, I don't know how many games they're going to win this year, but I really think that he's going to be a really good player. I was talking to somebody on the phone today, and I think the guy's going to be a really good player because I think from where he came from, he's been given nothing. I don't think he has an entitled attitude like a lot of young players have nowadays, and I think he works at it. I think he has a desire to be good, and I think that he can kind of fill in that gap. I hope I'm right, but fill in that gap where Steve McNair left off, and now we've got Cam Ward. Maybe he can fill in that gap and make the Titans into something proud.
Obviously, week 1 under 2 weeks away, and we've talked all about his preseason performances and what you've seen from him compared to what he's seen the last 3 preseason games. what is Cam Ward walking into in a road game at Denver where we know they're going to be bringing pressure because he's a younger quarterback? What's the difference for a younger quarterback between those 3 preseason games and boom, you're in it here in week 1. Let's go.
Well, for one, you got to look at he's going to play the whole game. So everything is going to be under a microscope. And with him being the number 1 pick of the draft, everybody's going to, ticky-tack all this kind of stuff that, well, he does this good, he does that. Well, it's going to be tough. And he's going on the road his first game. I can't explain to people just how tough it is playing on the road in a hostile environment where people are yelling at you, where there's 80,000 people. It's at Mile High Stadium, and
it's a great environment.
It's loud. Oh, yeah, it's awesome. It's a great environment. It's awesome. And there's nothing like when you're an opposing team going into a fan base that doesn't like you, that hates you, and you start playing well and you make them shut up. There's nothing like it in the world. But there's just an all kind of first, man. I mean, it's his first time starting a true NFL game. He's on the road. He's going to experience some pressure. Guys around him are going to have to pick their games up. Like, how do they match up against the Denver defense? Like, can Calvin Ridley and Van Jefferson and Tyler Lockett and DK and all those guys, can they get open against these guys that they're matching up against? Can the offensive line protect, which has been a huge problem for the Tennessee Titans for quite a while now? Can they protect and keep people off of them, and can they run their offense effectively? And there's just a lot of firsts that you go into when you're a rookie quarterback it's a lot of unknowns. Are they going to bring corner cats? Are they going to bring a lot of pressure? Is this the defense that likes to get you behind the chains on first down? They're going to bring some pressure with the Sam and the Mike and the Wheel. Are they going to rotate safeties? What are they playing coverage wise? So there's just a lot of stuff. You got to know what you're doing offensively, but defensively, you got to watch enough film and you got to study enough and be in there with the coaches and be in there with your teammates. And hey, if they give us this situation, this is what I want you to do. And I think he's very accustomed to doing that, because we heard early in the year Calvin Ridley talking about it. He's like, you normally don't hear a rookie come up to a 9th-year pro saying, hey, when I see this coverage, this is what I'm expecting of you. And that's kind of being on the same page. And that's the kind of leader you want on your football team. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays, especially on the road.
And we've got a good question in the chat room I want to get to in a second too. I want to pick your brain about the way veteran players who've been in the league for a while start to believe in a younger quarterback, a rookie quarterback like a Cam Ward. Obviously he's shown some flashes in the preseason, but ultimately is what it takes that first regular season game, or a regular season game in general. You can lead off the field, you can get to the office at 5 a.m., but ultimately, does it come down to what you do on Sundays and whether or not you win the game?
Absolutely, Billy. It's they're gaining trust each and every day with him, but there's still people that, hey, he's good, but he hasn't done it in a real game yet. Yeah. So there's still guys on the team. There's still guys in the organization that you think but you actually don't know. And when there's no better of a feeling when you've got the guy that you drafted and you think he's that guy, and then he goes out and he performs well and he handles certain situations, which that is so enjoyable to an organization when they can do that, and when they understand, hey, we got the right guy. Now, the offensive lineman, Calvin Ridley's of the world, all those guys are wondering, hey, he's done it and we think he can do it, but can he really do it when the lights are on, when Sunday Night Football comes on, or when they're talking about him on Sports Center? Can he do it under the lights when 80,000 people are screaming at him, when we're down by 3 with a minute and 57 seconds left and we have no timeouts and we're on our own 30? Can he be able to do that? That's really what professional sports, Billy, are the ultimate proving ground for young men, because you have to be able to do it. There's no gray matter there. It's black and white. You either do it or you can't. And there's still guys that have that question mark in their heads, but that just comes through constantly working, constantly being in the film room, constantly leading your team. And once you get out there on the field and you start performing like they think you can perform, man, that builds trust. And then you get to a point where you're like Tom Brady, where they thought that they could never lose. Like, it didn't matter what time was in the game. we might be down, but as long as we had time on the clock, most of those guys knew that Tom Brady was going to bring us back in that game. And you create a lot of trust. You create a lot of teamwork in those situations. So there's a lot of questions still have to be answered, but only time will tell, because right now I don't know as an overall team. We're talking about him individually, but I don't know as an overall team just how good they are and how good they're going to stack up with other people. Now, with this cut down coming today, everybody had to be down to 53 people. Well, they're going to be looking at the roster. So there's still going to be roster moves made by the Tennessee Titans, and they got the number one dibs on all that stuff because of the season they had last year. So they're still going to be making roster moves to try to upgrade this roster, and you never know what's going to happen. So it's going to be interesting to see, but you build that kind of trust among your teammates by what you do actually on game days.
Somebody in the chat room asks, how much quicker is college from high school? How much quicker is the NFL than college in terms of the snap count? Maybe not snap count, but one Mississippi, two Mississippi, the old backyard rule where you take the snap, and obviously you were under center some, Kelly. I mean, in the gun too. But what is the difference between high school, you get to college, and now you're in the NFL?
Well, I explain this to people because I've been asked that question before, but when I was at middle, I was a true freshman, and it was our first scrimmage, and I was not playing yet. This was probably 4 or 5 days into camp, and I can remember sitting back there with the other young quarterbacks thinking, and we were at an FCS level. We were Division I AA. It was FCS. And I just could not believe how much faster, because I was fortunate enough to win a state championship in high school, but I could not believe how much faster it was from high school to college. And can you imagine, being at a Power 4 school or something like that, where those guys are getting ready for the NFL the next year, and then you go from college to the NFL, it gets that much quicker. Like I use this example all the time. Like I remember when I was on Indianapolis and I was on the sideline. Thank God I was on the sideline. I don't know if it was Peyton or if it was Jim Harbaugh playing, but we played the Buffalo Bills, and Bruce Smith was coming off the edge. And that was the quickest guy I've ever seen in my life. And he was big. Like, he had long arms. He was just tall. And he was like, our offensive tackle could not block him. You just cannot imagine the speed from when you go up each level. That's the different factor of, like, those guys are so fast when you get the National Football League. The corners can break on the ball so fast. Receivers can get open, and they can outrun your arm. You cannot imagine just how much quicker and how much bigger those guys are now. And it's because they all started working out in high school when I was playing. Now they work out, but they didn't work out much. We were working out a little bit. That's when it kind of caught on. But it was amazing how fast it was going from high school to college and then to the pros. Like the defensive lineman, Courtney Brown was the number one pick on the Cleveland Browns. And he's he was probably 6'5", 290. I couldn't outrun him. Like, he ran a 4.5 40. Like, I couldn't outrun those guys. So those guys are freakish athletes. You get Javon Curses, everybody down here knows. You get freakish athletes like that. So the speed of the game, everybody runs a curl. They call it something else, but the speed of the game is what the difference in levels are.
All right, coming up, I want to get into the good and the bad of Friday night, what we saw with the Titans. Again, these are tough. George skipped out on a good week. The third preseason game is bare cupboard. That's what it is. So we're going to get into to good versus bad here from the Titans on Friday night. So keep it right here. More Titans coming up right here on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler. Sports and Social at Green Hills Mall is the new home for our Football Night in Nashville promotion. Their food is terrific. Their TV setup looks like a racing sports book in Vegas. And if you're a sports fan, you can't beat it. Starting September the 4th, we'll broadcast from Sports and Social every Thursday night. There's Pop-A-Shot, great football, and the chance to win a beautiful Mikey's Motors golf cart. See you at Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
Show advertising family, it's simple. Just email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We will fit your budget and your needs. Two total screw-ups of humongous proportions.
Sports. We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We are back. A beautiful Monday here in Nashville. The temperature, I forgot the weather report at the top of the show. I don't know how that was possible, but 80 degrees right now in Nashville. And taking a look at the rest of the week, the high tomorrow, 78. The high on Wednesday, 79. Thursday, 79. Friday, 84. And Saturday, with all those football games, got a high of 82. It's not too bad.
No, that's really nice. I'm good with it. I'll put on a little jacket if need be. That's awesome.
That first quarter zip I throw on, I can't wait. That's the best feeling every fall. But the lows are in the upper 50s, so at night we'll be getting into the 60s. So we got a beautiful weather week ahead. We'll see what kind of a Titan season we have. We talked about what Cam Ward was able to do Friday night, 3 of 4, 36 yards, played a couple of series. Not sure how beautiful this season will be for the Titans. We shall see what we get, of course, here in about a couple of weeks in Denver. But, Kelly, the good versus the bad, I look at what Van Jefferson was able to do. And if you're watching on the podcast, we saw the clip of his touchdown. It was pretty impressive. I mean, yeah, it's a preseason game, but I was happy for him. And I know there's a lot of Titans fans happy for him, too, because there's people all over Twitter, saying cut this guy after the big drop that we talked about, and we were going back and forth whether or not Van Jefferson was gonna be on this roster, and of course Terry went into detail that the position the Titans are in, they're not necessarily in a spot to cut Van Jefferson, especially what their receiving core looks like, but. Kelly, that was impressive. It's one play, and he had that other catch that we showed at the beginning of last segment. But that was encouraging for him, and that's how you want to end a preseason if you're a receiver kind of on that edge.
Yeah, it takes time coming in and learning a new offense, and I did not think Van Jefferson was ever going to get cut. I will say this: when he turned those burners on down the sideline, he could
Beat
still
that
run.
DB, yeah.
Yeah, he can still get it. I mean, some of the guys had angles on him, and that's what you want. You want to create angles on defense, but they could not catch him. So that's kind of what they want. He's a veteran guy. He's been there. Yeah, he's going to drop balls, but everybody drops balls. I mean, everybody's human. So I can understand fan frustration sometimes with that stuff, but you got to look at it this way. Like, he's been there, he's done that. He's an experienced guy. He wasn't going to get cut, I didn't think. People in the Nashville area, his dad coached here with the other staff, and he grew up playing at Ravenwood, so he's a good player. I can remember watching him in a high school film, and the coach at Ravenwood, Hester, he got him the ball any which way he could, and that was a good move on his part because he could play and he could still play. So yeah, like you said, I'm happy for him. You're happy for him. I think he adds another dimension to the offense, and it gives Cam Ward another option there other than Calvin Ridley and Tyler Lockett.
The next guy that I put here under the good category was James Williams Sr., and this is the second time we've had him under this good category. Kelly, about a week ago, Denard Wilson had said that they haven't decided on which direction they're going at inside linebacker next to Cody Barton. He said there's still a competition between Cedric Gray, another guy that's played really well. I probably could have put him here under the good category, but that's encouraging. I mean, who knows what we get from the Titans defense? But those two linebackers, Cedric Gray and James Williams Sr., he had another pick on Friday against the Vikings. Look, this defense isn't going to be anything special. We know that. But what can you squeeze out of them? And I'm interested to see, if guys like James Williams Sr. and Cedric Gray, for that matter, can keep playing well.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You could put Cedric Gray up here too, because he seems like both these guys. I've told y'all this before. I played with guys that just seem like they have a knack for the football and they understand where the ball is going. Like one of Jameson's best friends, like he's just a tad bit slow, but he made up for it because he's really smart. He understands the game. You don't know why he understands the game, but he understands the game. And it seems like James Williams Sr. and Cedric Gray both are guys like that. He made an interception. Cedric Gray had some tackles in the backfield. So, you might want to try to get them both on the field together, like get one of them to, change positions. But, those guys are guys you need on your team that are ball hawks that know how to play the game of football.
All right, the bad was tough. A lot. The thing is that was a good performance if you're strictly looking at the game Friday night from the Titans as a whole. But I put James Prochet down, Kelly, because with Van Jefferson bouncing back and playing well Friday night, Prochet needed to step up both as a receiver and on special teams. Unfortunately, he didn't do that. He didn't do a whole lot Friday night. He didn't add any explosion to the run game or on offense. And offense, that's tough. I mean, who knows how many targets he had and how many chances he had. I don't think he had a ton. But in the return game, caught a couple of punts, didn't do a whole lot with it, and that's probably being harsh. But I put him down as the bad category. The other guy, Gabe Jeudy-Lally at corner, I put him in here because with Snead finally back, that competition for the backup corner spot has gotten a little bit more intense. And entering training camp, Jeudy-Lally appeared to be in the mix for one of those last depth spots. Not a starter, of course, but behind some of the other starting corners. But he had another shaky performance Friday night. I think his stock is falling. He's a guy, Kelly, we talked about this before we hopped on the air. He's a guy that started his career at Vandy, went to Tennessee, and found himself not much of a starting role in the NFL, but played a little bit in the NFL. Sometimes that happens, but certain guys you don't expect, at the college level to end up playing, even getting to the NFL. He got there, and good for him. But you wonder, and obviously he's still on the roster, wasn't cut. So I put those two guys down because I thought there was a chance they could be cut, whether it's Prochet or Jeudy-Lally. But that's what I had for the bad.
Well, see, the thing about that is they could still be cut, Billy. That's the thing about today. They go down to 53 men, but you can't sit and rest. You can't breathe right because I've been in those situations before. And with the Titans having first dibs on free agency and not free agency, but the waiver wire, and when guys are, Mike
That changes
Borzinga
now.
and
Yeah.
all those guys are looking at the waiver wire and they know what every team's got. They've been looking at every team and been watching every player. So if you're a Prochet or you're the other young man, the Judy Lolly kid, like you can't rest easy right now because you probably could have done some better things in camp and you probably could have shown a little bit better. So with Van Jefferson, like you talked about, coming on as a receiver, then they're looking to help the roster with moves that they can make. And these young men can't rest right now because they're not on the team. And there's going to be a lot of transactions in the next 24 hours with guys getting cut and being brought to other teams. So there's going to be a lot of transactions. So it kind of sucks. I've been in those situations before, but that's just the name of the business.
Well, that word cut, I want to get to that right now as we head to the break. The Lions have released Hendon Hooker. I don't know if you saw that, but in the last 10, 15 minutes, they have released Hendon Hooker. The Chiefs have cut Bailey Zappi. So those are two guys we've seen in the NFL. We've seen more of Zappi, obviously, than Hendon Hooker. We haven't seen a ton of Hendon Hooker in the regular season. We've seen some of him in preseason games. And George has brought this up, and I think it's a good topic point because I think the Titans are in that spot where, and I saw a ranking, Kelly. I forget who ranked quarterbacks. Somebody on Twitter ranked backup quarterbacks, the top 32 ranking backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Brandon Allen was last. And that's understandable. I mean, he's not, but you look at it, are either of those guys, and they're going to be active, like you said, are Zappi or Hendon Hooker guys that you would look at to bring in if you're the Titans?
Maybe to be as a third guy. Like, I don't understand. Like, I was watching Trevor Siemian the other night, and he started for the Denver Broncos years ago, and I just don't know what's happened to him. Like, I thought, like, I know circumstances, and I thought he was a much better player back then. I don't know what's happened to him. I don't know if he's lost his confidence because I always thought he was a really good player. And now I know he's not playing with much, and I understand that, guys. You got to look at it, and I'm sorry to say this because I was in those situations before, but the first team and the third team, there's a different group of guys there. And when you're playing with third and fourth team guys, some of those guys are not going to be around. Some of those guys just can't make it in the National Football League. And when you're trying to make a squad, sometimes you have to put balls in certain situations. And I just don't know what's happened to Trevor Siemian. I really don't. I think they feel comfortable. They obviously feel comfortable with Brandon Allen. They really do. He knows the offense. Brian Callahan's comfortable with him. He's been with him before. But if you're going to bring a Hendon Hooker or Bailey Zappi in, he's going to be as a third guy. And then if Brandon Allen fails, then you got a guy that has, in Bailey Zappi, that has played, that has started some games. It's got a little bit of experience. And then this might be the right situation for him. Who knows?
Before we hit the break, big piece of news out of the AFC South. Texans running back Joe Mixon won't be activated from the non-football injury list by today's deadline. Of course, that was at 3 o'clock right when we started our show. That makes him ineligible to play at least the first 4 games this season due to an ankle injury. So he will be moved to the reserve non-football injury list before the deadline. That's already happened. He's up to 29 years old now, and you look at the depth behind him. You've got Dameon Pierce and not a whole lot else there in Houston. So it's going to be interesting to see, how the Texans bounce back, and the Texans, Kelly. We saw what we got from C.J. Stroud in year one. Last year was one of your classic sophomore slumps from a young quarterback. They bring in a new OC. This division's not great, obviously, and that's not good news for the Texans. Not to say they didn't think this was going to happen with them, but I think that's something to note.
Well, that helps the Titans if they can get something going. But like, it went from a Tennessee Titans division a couple of years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, and then everybody else, and then it changed so quickly. And then C.J. Stroud, I still think the Texans are kind of the elite of the group in that bunch. I really do. I mean, I think C.J. Stroud's a really good player. Trevor Lawrence has got to pick his game up. They got Daniel Jones now in Indianapolis, who won for a long time with Peyton. Like nobody could. They had a stranglehold on the division, and then they got Cam Ward. So they got some talented young quarterbacks at the positions in the AFC South, and it's going to be interesting how it plays out.
All right, stat of the day next. Kelly will be on an island. You do have a football question. You've got a football question, so that'll be.
You suck, Billy. Y'all suck.
It's not baseball, so this will be bearable. This will be you'll be capable of answering this question. So we got stat of the day coming up, and then we're talking a bunch of college football in the 4:00 hour. We're going to be joined by Bill Bender from Sporting News right around 4:00. We'll take some of your calls and reaction from the weekend here on Reaction Monday. Stat of the day coming up. Keep it right here on 94.9 The Fan.
Now, here's your latest Fox 17 Code Red weather report.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Brett Luna. Our first taste of fall is here, and it's going to be sticking around with us for the next several days. Highs through Thursday will only be in the lower 80s, and the humidity won't be bad either. There's only about a 20% chance for a few isolated showers on Thursday.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network. Start your engines. Nashville's biggest racing weekend is back. It's the Borchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix, August 30th and 31st at Nashville Super Speedway. The speed, the sound, the stars of open wheel racing are all going full throttle. And you can catch every second of the action right here on 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Racing takes over Music City. Don't miss a lap. Your sports live here on 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville Sports Network.
At Electronic Express, we're making it easy to save big this Labor Day with up to 40% off TVs, computers, appliances, mattresses, furniture, and more. And the more you buy, the more you save, with up to $1,200 in additional savings on trusted brands like LG, Whirlpool, Frigidaire, and Samsung. Shopping local comes with perks like free delivery and up to 24 months of interest-free financing. Visit us in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. We've got that.
At Volunteer Hose and Gasket, they're not just about products, they're about solutions. If you need a custom-cut gasket or a hard-to-find hydraulic hose, they got it. From industrial hoses to hydraulic fittings and custom-cut gaskets, their stock is vast and versatile. Plus, their 24/7 emergency service means they're here whenever you need them. Visit one of their locations in Nashville and Murfreesboro or online at volunteerhose.com. Volunteer Hose and Gasket, sealing your success with every connection.
Every child deserves to start the school year with confidence. For over 5,000 kids in Middle Tennessee, that's not always possible. A donation of just $20 provides a new pair of athletic shoes, giving a child one less thing to worry about. That's Souls for the 615, brought to you by Cromwell Media and Souls for Souls. We've teamed up to make sure every child in our community steps into the year ready, and we need your help. Head to thegamenashville.com/shoes and donate today, because every child deserves to walk into school with pride.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
It is on the board that Arch Manning has one of the best seasons that we see from any college football quarterback. He's one of the betting favorites to win the Heisman Trophy. So if all of those things come true, if Texas has a really good season and Arch is a big reason why they do, then why would we think that it's not possible for him to enter into the NFL draft?
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2. Amber and Ian.
I don't believe for a second that Micah Parsons actually wants to leave Dallas. And frankly, I don't believe that Dallas wants to get rid of Micah Parsons in any way. They just have to work out a deal. And at the end of the day, all of this is business. I think for both of those guys, I think he ends up staying with the Dallas Cowboys. And we waste our time having conversations about a divorce when there is no divorce.
Amber and Ian. Weeknights at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on Sirius XM Channel 80.
Do you ever feel like gambling is causing financial strain or hurting your relationships? The Gambling Clinic has been helping people change their gambling habits for over 2 decades. With physical clinics and remote online appointments, we're here to help you make informed decisions about your gambling. Visit us at thegamblingclinic.com so we can work together to help you win back your life. This project is funded by the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. Brought to you by the Tennessee Gambling Clinic, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Blue Raider fans, this is the night we've been waiting for. Saturday, August 30th, kickoff 6 p.m. The season opener inside Johnny Red Floyd Stadium. MTSU versus Austin Peay. And it's the first ever whiteout. We're talking a sea of white, wall-to-wall energy, and a stadium rocking with Blue Raider pride. Come enjoy the family fun zone and Blue Raider beer garden on field level. End zone reserve tickets just $22. Don't wait. Go BlueRaiders.com/tickets. That's GoBlueRaiders.com/tickets. August 30th, 6 p.m. Blue Raiders, Governors, whiteout. Be there. Phil Floyd.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
College football with Bill Bender from the Sporting News coming up. But first, stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right, Kelly on an island today. Here we go. We're going NFL. Cam Ward seems to be the Titans' future after having the record for the most passing yards in a season with the Miami Hurricanes. Whose record did he break down at Miami?
Is it an older guy or a younger guy?
Older guy.
I'm going to say Vinny Testaverde.
You're going to say Vinny?
I am.
Okay, any other guesses?
If it's an older guy, it'd have to be Vinny or it has to be Gino Torretta. But I'm going to say Vinny.
Oh, Chase McKay back in the studio says Vinny as well. So he's backing you. But it is Bernie.
Oh, Bernie! Gosh! That's irritating.
So Bernie was before Vinny.
He was before Vinny. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You're talking about a guy that could not move, that went to Cleveland and is still a hero up there. Is Bernie Kosar. Like, Bernie was really smart. I remember when I was in the NFL to begin with, and I was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we went and scrimmaged Miami down there, and and one of the guys that actually David Culley, who played at Vanderbilt, who's from Smithville up here, we were sitting there watching the game, and he was talking about, he said, just watch Benny, how he does things. And he just took the ball down the field, and it was pretty amazing to watch him play.
Well, it's going to be amazing watching college football this weekend. It all starts Thursday night, got some good games, got some games Friday as well. So sit back, relax, starting Thursday night for all of these college football games. And we've got some beautiful weather all across the Southeast right now. I'm sure where Bill is right now up in Ohio, he's got some beautiful weather as well. Bill Bender joining us now from the Sporting News, college football writer, senior writer, been joining us for really the last 2 to 3 years, joining us here. Bill, appreciate the time. It's here.
Yeah, and you guys were talking about Miami. I got a story coming later this week. We did a couple, greatest players from each school, and the Miami list has 19 guys on it, and 14 of them were first-round picks. It is probably the most ridiculous collection of talent of all. And I think Kelly's right about Bernie. I live here in Ohio, and my best friend, college roommate, Browns fan, and he likes Kelly too. But I think the Bernie Kosar was the first jersey he had in his closet. They still talk about Bernie up there. You know that.
No doubt.
Bill, I want to start with what we saw over the weekend in Ireland. Of course, Iowa State takes down K-State. We talked about it earlier, what happened after the game, which is unfortunate with Avery Johnson's father and brother. And I do want to get your take on that. But with the game specifically, were you surprised at how Iowa State was able to come away with that one? Obviously, it's a rivalry game, and if you ask both teams, they probably don't want to play that in week 0. But they did, and Iowa State gets a huge win for Matt Campbell.
Yeah, I'll address it at the end first. I mean, college football is a really emotional game. It does bring out some ugly moments like that. I would imagine, I can't speculate, but whenever alcohol is involved, you can have things like that happen in the stands or after the game, and an emotional loss for Kansas State because it really sets them back in the Big 12 race. I thought, both teams found their footing a little bit in the second half. I thought Iowa State, once they got that ground game going around Carson Hansen, it made a huge difference. And the Cyclones scored a pretty big win there. So I think they have a leg up in the Big 12 race because it's going to be wild, but certainly one you want to get early in the season.
All right, so let's go to week one. We're going to be previewing all these games all week long, Bill. I want to start with Saturday, noon Eastern, Texas, Ohio State, right there in your backyard in Columbus. The line has shifted just ever so slightly with Ohio State, a 1.5-point favorite now. How do you look at this, and how do you handicap this game if you're a Texas or an Ohio State fan heading into this?
Well, that means the betting money's coming in on Texas probably if that line's dropping like that. I mean, Ohio State hasn't lost a home or a season opener since 1999. I mean, that's a long time. So, there's a lot of guys that went to the NFL in last year's game, and we're excited about Arch Manning and Julian Sayin, and, it's going to be a fun game. I do think Texas losing 4 offensive linemen will matter. We'll see early. How are they communicating? That's a rowdy stadium and a really good defense they're going to be facing with Matt Patricia running at this time. So, I mean, high emotion. Not quite. Last time Ohio State played in that stadium was 20 years ago. And, you talk to people again, not to make this all about Ohio, but all my buddies know where they were when Lima Swede caught that ball and Vince Young led them to victory. That was one of those victories for Texas that year.
What are you expecting from Julian Sayin? We talk all the time about Arch Manning and all the hype around him, but are there some people sleeping on what we could get from Julian Sayin this year?
I mean, 5-star background. Get to throw to those receivers. Yeah, he can have a great year. Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis is another one. So, yeah, I think he gets the ball out quick. There's a lot of pressure when you're Ohio State's quarterback. And Will Howard had ups and downs with that last year. Obviously, went out on a high with how he played in the playoffs. But, I think Julian Sayin's a guy that could definitely have some success in that offense. And, look at the track record. Stroud and Fields and Haskins, all those guys were Heisman finalists. If you play well at Ohio State, it will get recognized.
Alabama and Florida State at 2:30. A little bit later on Saturday. It may not be as hot and steamy. It's still going to be hot down there in Tallahassee, but looks like it may cool off just a tad to make it a little bit more comfortable for everybody down there. Can Castellanos not Will Muschamp, I was going to say Muschamp, Gus Malzahn scheme enough things up against the Crimson Tide to potentially pull the upset?
Maybe. But, it's hard to say. Alabama's never played there, and new quarterback Ty Simpson. I do think Florida State will be better. I don't think they'll go 2-10 again, but they're asking a lot out of the opener. Alabama's receivers are amazing. Ryan Williams had a great year. Jeremy Bernard had a great year. Their defense will be better in the second year with Cade Womack. And it just looks like a team that I think has to prove it can play better on the road last year. Obviously lost to Vanderbilt, lost to Oklahoma on the road last year. Those were losses that kept them out of the college football playoff. So we'll see what Killen and DeBoer and company learned from those games in particular as they go on the road. I mean, it's never easy, and that stadium's renovated, so they'll be fired up.
Another place it's not easy to play, Death Valley, and this is the battle of the Death Valleys. Clemson and LSU, 6:30. Obviously, there's pressure on Brian Kelly, but man, it's hard from an LSU perspective. If you look at this game, if they lose it, to be too upset. This is a really good Clemson team, Bill.
It is, but I mean, what's the standard at LSU? They're out to win national championships and compete for playoffs, and they didn't hire Brian Kelly to have a moral victory at Clemson. So I think that's the pressure point. They haven't won an opener in 5 years. We've all seen Brian Kelly pound on the podium, like he did last year, and they've had some really bad moments in openers. So to go down there, it's going to be fun. Clemson really good on the defensive line. Peter Wood, TJ Parker, Cade Klubnik at quarterback, a lot of experience there. I do think it's going to be a close game, though. Really close game, maybe come down to the last drive. And how LSU handles that noise at Death Valley, especially early with Garrett Nussmeier and a bunch of transfers, it's going to be interesting to see.
All right, Brian Kelly's former school, Notre Dame, traveled to Miami Monday night. And, man, this is interesting because you look at what Miami has with Carson Beck, and they're just inserting another potential NFL quarterback there after Cam Ward from last year. Quite the advantage for the Hurricanes at quarterback. We're not quite sure what we're going to get from C.J. Carr. Haven't really seen him at all. This is tough first game here for the Irish.
Really is. Kind of history down there. And Miami, pretty good up front. Francis Mauigoa on one side, potential number one pick. Ruben Bain on the other side, really good player. And, Carson Beck's played a lot of big-time football, 24-3 as a starter, played in a lot of ranked games, and brought in to maybe shift that for Miami, right? So Notre Dame, I'm interested to see what I could say. I know a lot about C.J. Carr, but I'm going off what I've heard. And, we haven't seen him play at the college level, handle that environment, which is going to be rowdy. And I love that it has its standalone spot on Sunday night. That makes it that much more fun. I know the history behind that. I went to a Catholic school. I know all about Catholics and convicts and those 80s and 90s games. They were great. That I know exactly where I was. Beat them in 1988. I was at a friend's house. His dad was a big Notre Dame fan. What a moment that game was. It's one of those clear memories you have, even as like a 9 or 10-year-old.
I said Monday night, didn't I?
Well, Sunday, yeah, it's Sunday night, but Monday we have a different standalone game with Belichick. I'm sure you know what? And I'll test this on you. If Belichick wins at the end of the weekend and they look like really good doing it, that could supersede all those games we just talked about.
That's right.
Crazy. You got 3 top 10 games, but I think he could generate the largest reaction because we're in a 12-team era where, like Texas, Ohio State, or LSU, Clemson, or Notre Dame, Miami, the loser's not out.
Yeah. Okay, so Notre Dame Sunday night. You got North Carolina Monday night. That's my bad. We're talking to Bill Bender, Sporting News, college football writer, been doing it for a long time. Kelly, fire away.
So I asked this to somebody last week, and I want to ask you. There's never been. It seems like to me there's never been so many young quarterbacks at all these prominent places, like Bryce Underwood, like a Julian Sayin, like even Arch Manning. Like we all know his lineage, we get it, and he's played some at Texas, but they're in such these high prominent profile programs. Has there ever been a situation like this where, like, these coaches and the fans and everybody is wondering what these young men are going to be able to do?
Well, I think that's one of the underrated stories of the season. When somebody told me today, not to confirm, 7 of the top 10 teams have a new quarterback. Sounds about right. I think Garrett, Drew Aller, and Cade Klubnik are back. Everybody else in the top 10, somebody new. And that's probably right. Dante Moore, Carson Beck, even on the back end. And how those guys react and play is going to determine a lot. That's why it's really hard for me. Please don't ask me who's going to win the national title, because I got to see how Julian Sayin does and how Arch does and how, who am I leaving out? Gunnar Stockton at Georgia. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are stepping into systems, obviously really good teams, but it's who responds to that and which quarterback pans out. And I don't know that all 7 will be dominant. And even outside of the top 10, you mentioned Bryce and DJ Lagway, Lenore Sellers, so many good quarterbacks.
So, and I'm going to expand on that question. I want to ask you your expertise on this. Like, do you think, because with the transfer portal area, we understand that, but the transfer portal, it seems like when I was in an offense, it took me a while to learn that offense. But now these young men that are quarterbacks are transferring everywhere to get more money. And do you see the state of the game kind of going down with production? Because I've said that, and that's been my argument, man. It's hard to learn these offenses. And when you got guys transferring every year, going to another place, they can't really get engulfed and detailed in the offense. And I think it has something to do with their production on the field. So do you think in the coming years that you might see a decline some in the college football play and the quarterback play?
Well, even if we already have, Penn State and Clemson, regardless of what they do this year, could argue, hey, we hit it with Klubnik and Aller. We had them for 3 years. They started. They didn't transfer. They won a bunch of football games. They got us to the playoff. Maybe they don't win the national title. Maybe they don't go number one, but they did what we expected when we recruited a 5-star quarterback. And you make a great point. I mean, I think one of the things about Arch, and I had a conversation with Peyton Manning earlier this summer. It was awesome that he brought up the point that it does make a difference that the same coach, same play caller in the college game, and he sat behind somebody. You know, when Peyton played, I don't have the years right in front of me, but Tom Moore was his coordinator for most of his career. You know, he didn't have a lot of different head coaches either. So I think as good as Peyton was, that also helped. And you're not seeing that at the college game. And then when they get to the NFL, I don't know how ready some of these guys are. I mean, look at all the discourse around Shedeur Sanders right now. You know what I mean? Like, I think he'll be fine, but I think you've got to have some patience.
See, and that was a good thing for me because you brought up Tom Moore. Tom Moore was my offensive coordinator. We started out with Tom Moore, and then I was able to go to Cleveland with Bruce Arians, who came with the same offense. And I just don't think people understand that. And I don't think these young kids understand it. It takes time as a quarterback to learn these offenses, and I don't think these guys are getting enough time in each offense.
And you bring a great point up. And, you know, when you're in the same system and the same quarterback, and freshman year, you know, you don't have to play right away. Bryce Underwood, I think, will have some ups and downs like Dylan Raiola did last year. Like, you're going to throw interceptions as a freshman because you haven't played at the speed of the game. You know all about that. I'm preaching to the choir here because it's just different at that level, and then it's different again at the NFL level, and you see quarterbacks struggle. So I do think that's one of the big stories of the year, and inevitably some of these guys will play well. Arch will probably do great. Julian Sayin will play well. You know, CJ Carr, I like that Notre Dame has one of their own, and they're not relying on a one-year transfer quarterback. I think that should help them.
Right. So
technically they have one of Michigan's because he's Lloyd Carr's grandson.
Well, that too. I mean, everybody at Michigan knows exactly who he is, right? So yeah. I think it makes that interesting, and it's too bad that Michigan and Notre Dame got rid of that rivalry because it'd be fun to see those two play.
So Bill, tell me this. Let's go to the ACC. Do you think Dabo Swinney can get his program? Of course, you know, they've been a stalwart for a while now, but they've been kind of down the last couple of years. And we talked about Cade Klubnik. But do you think that he can get that back to an elite level this year?
Oh, we're going to find out. I think, you know, they've got a lot of talent up front, like I mentioned, and you got an experienced quarterback. You got Antonio Williams. They have first-round players. And, you know, when Dabo has it up front, coordinator Tom Allen, who did a nice job at Penn State and Indiana. When they're good up front, they're dangerous. I was thinking back to that defensive team that they had a couple of years ago, 18-ish, with Cleveland Farrell and Dexter Lawrence and Christian Wilkins. They had somebody else on there, and I keep blanking on it. Just a devastating defensive line, especially at the middle. And when you have that, you can win a lot of football games. And I think Cade doesn't have to be Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence. He just has to be good. And if they're good in the ACC, but there's a lot riding on that LSU game because they did lose the 3 SEC schools last year, and that's what we're going to be reacting to if they can't go out and beat another one.
So you talked a little bit about Belichick. I got 2 questions left, but you said a little bit about Belichick. What do you think his season will be like this year? I know this is his first time in obviously getting back into the college deal. Do you think it's like a one-stop shop for him where he's thinking about staying in college or maybe going back to the pros? But what do you think that his North Carolina Tar Heels will do this year?
That's the big fast. I have no idea. When you have 70 transfers, that's great analysis for the radio, by the way. I do know 70 transfers, interesting quarterback in Lopez. The X's and O's part. And at ACC kickoff, he talked about how he's going to run it like a pro program. And that's the great experiment. I don't think it'll get as much buzz as Dion at Colorado. But if they win a few, it'll probably feel a little bit – you've got to go way back for this reference. But Bill Walsh at Stanford is what I thought of immediately. You know, Walsh was the offensive genius, and his first year at Stanford was great. The next 2, not so much. So, you know, how long can Bill Belichick sustain this is the big question. Is he just using this to get back in the NFL? Who knows? But I do know, like I said earlier, if they beat TCU and they look good doing it, that's all we're going to talk about from week 1.
Yeah, so my last thing here is football's obviously changed. It's so different, and teams. It's like NFL free agency now. You got all these transfer kids. They go in. You never know from year to year who's going to be really good. We thank the Ohio States and the Michigans and the Alabamas and all these teams that have been there, the Clemsons. But is there a dark horse team out there that nobody's really talking about that you think may have a shot this year?
Well, I think LSU would be an interesting national championship dark horse. I don't know if once you get past the top 10, if there's really a team that can do it, because some of it is the roster you have. Can you go out and win 4 games? Ohio State, as stunning as the Michigan loss was last year, they had a roster that was built to win 4 games. And they went out and did that, and they did it in impressive fashion, and it was cool to see. So, how many rosters in college football can really do that? At Clemson, Notre Dame, obviously the top 4, Penn State, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas. And after that, Alabama and LSU are like the next 2. And then after that, I don't know about Oregon. I do know Dan Lanning has a great track record, but they got to go out and do it.
That's Bill Bender from the Sporting News. Not too many guys do it better than him, obviously. Bill, you going to be in Columbus Saturday?
I will, and I'm getting everything ready for that. We have a ton of content at Sporting News. You guys got to check it out. We got a good story on Corso coming Wednesday, too. I think you'll enjoy it.
Well, hopefully it doesn't make me cry as much as the feature that ESPN put out. That was brutal. But Bill, appreciate it, and good luck with your coverage this weekend.
Hey, anytime, guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thanks,
Take care.
That's Bill Bender from the Sporting News, college football writer, has been doing it for a while. Kelly, did you see that? What ESPN put out? It was about a 10-minute feature, and they interviewed different ESPN analysts and broadcasters. And then when Herbie came on, he was waterworks. It was when he was asked about Lee. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I can send it to you. This I would imagine.
What were they talking, Billy? What were they talking about? Just
about
college football.
Yeah, Lee's career. It was all about Lee Corso. It was a 9-10 minute feature, and they'll be doing a lot of that on Saturday. But didn't know if you.
He's amazing, man. It's amazing that he's been doing it as long as he has. And you got to give Kirk Herbstreit like a lot of credit, because the last 5 years, he's kept that thing on the. He's kept it on the roll. Yeah. I mean, he's kept it on track, because, Lee Corso was losing it, and everybody saw that. But he's still so beloved, man. Like ESPN would never do anything to him, and he's so beloved. But Herbie did a lot of stuff to, keep that going and keep the flow of the show going, which was pretty cool.
Well, Lee helped Herbie a lot throughout his career, obviously, as well. College Game Day will be back Saturday. College football is back. We want to talk college football with you. Hop in on the phone lines. We're opening up the phone lines right now, 615-759-9949. That's the brand new number. Write it down if you have to. I'll tweet it out. We'll get it out, 615-759-9949. You can text that number as well with any of your text questions. Chat room is open on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. So we're talking all things college football, and we may dive in a little bit deeper into that. What in the world happened after the Ireland showdown between Avery Johnson's dad and his brother as well. But phone lines open. Hop in now, 615-759-9949. We got more coming up. 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
A golf cart from Mikey's Motors is the perfect way to get around this summer. Whether you're going to the park, the pool, or the playground, do it in a brand new golf cart from Mikey's Motors, Franklin and Murfreesboro.
Summertime fun in Tennessee. That's what we sell at Mikey's Motors. Come see how we roll.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling. They enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
If you are paying too much for your health insurance, you know what? You need to contact the folks at Pancoast Benefits. Pancoast works with businesses and individuals to tackle the high cost of health insurance. Whether you're a business owner, large or small, self-employed, between jobs, or over the age of 65 and in need of a Medicare plan, Pancoast can help. They make understanding your benefits less difficult and more personal. So check them out today, pancoastbenefits.com, or call them at 615-292-3400. Are you looking for expert medical care in Nashville without leaving your home? Medical House Calls brings concierge-level health care directly to your door. Whether you need urgent attention, ongoing primary care, revitalizing IV therapy, or medically guided weight loss, our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com. Our experienced providers are just a phone call away at 615-838-2375 or go online, medicalhousecalls.com.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We are back on a Monday here in Nashville. George Plaster out on vacation. Well deserved. He will be back on Thursday for Underdog Picks. And hopefully we get Chuck McDowell in here, obviously the general, back in here, and we'll do some review of the weekend. Kelly, his Idaho State team almost got it done.
Who picked that? Is that
George?
George?
The general. The general took.
The general. Oh, he took
Idaho State.
Oh gosh, I'm telling you, man, that dude's uncanny with that garbage.
I was laughing. I was watching that. I was keeping up with that game. I wasn't even watching. I don't even know what channel it was on. I was like, he almost came up with that. So
he's uncanny with that garbage. Who was the one that got the Iowa State deal?
Oh, that was me for Chuck.
Was that Chuck?
That's right. I forgot about that.
It's absolutely ridiculous that
I got that the second one.
I know, but Stanford has fallen so far down. It's like Jim Harbaugh had them to us, and he had Andrew Luck as the quarterback, and Andrew Luck is obviously there, and Frank Reich is the coach. But like, they have fallen so far down that it's amazing. Like that, I watched a little bit of the game, and that quarterback, he was not very good now, and he couldn't throw it in the ocean sometimes. And for Hawaii to beat them at their place, that's just not good.
No, Hawaii's better, but Stanford, you're right. Stanford should never look like that against a Hawaii type team. They've been decimated out of the portal. They've got a good running back, but yeah, their quarterback's not great. Their line's not great, and that's got to be tough to watch if you're Andrew Luck and Frank Reich for that matter. But they'll get it going. It's just, man, they're depleted, and I guess that's what happens when your coach, when all that happens with your head coach and Andrew Luck makes the decision to let him go. So we've got that. Also, some NFL news. The Bengals have signed Trey Hendrickson on a $14 million raise for this year, boosting his salary to $30 million. So that's big news for the Cincinnati Bengals. And again, fire away your comments and questions in the chat room. Phone lines are open, 615-759-9949. Again, the number 615-759-9949. We do have a question from somebody on YouTube asking, is everyone picking the 9th game for next year in the SEC, of course, going to a 9-game conference schedule, or is it allotted? It's allotted, but the way they're doing it, and we've talked about this a little bit over the last week or so, and since it was announced that they'll be going to 9 games, there are 3 permanent opponents for each SEC teams each year.
Right.
And those other 6 opponents, that's a normal, 6-game schedule, but you've got 3 permanent opponents. And what we've been talking about, Kelly, is who are the permanent opponents going to be, for
That's
a
what
Tennessee?
That's what I was about to ask you. Like for Tennessee, it's got to be the 3rd Saturday in October, which is Alabama. It's got to be Florida. And I guess it's got to be Vanderbilt. Is it going to be Vanderbilt?
Yeah, Vandy's got to be in there.
And then for Vanderbilt, who is it?
Well, I was thinking for Vandy, obviously Tennessee's got to be in there. You've also got Vanderbilt's interesting because do you go Kentucky? You could say that. I mean, Vanderbilt's not a program, of course, with multiple rivalries. Selfishly, the Ole Miss Vandy game every time they've gotten together has been pretty entertaining. So I'd love to see Tennessee, Ole Miss, and maybe Auburn. Any way you slice it, though, for Vandy, it's going to be tough. George brought up Alabama because back in the day when the SEC was only at 10 teams, and even when it was at 12 teams, Vanderbilt and Alabama would play every year. It's a 3.5 hour drive, maybe 4 hours, closer to 4 hours down to Tuscaloosa. But that it gets harder. But like for teams like Texas, it's pretty obvious. You've got Oklahoma, you've got A&M, and Arkansas.
Yes.
It's pretty obvious for a bunch of teams. But even for a team like Tennessee, that's where it gets tough, and everybody's bickering about who the 3 permanent opponents are going to be. But don't forget about the other 6 games too. Those, they'll hopefully they find a way to balance it out, because these imbalanced schedules have been pretty ridiculous to look at.
Well, what's going to happen, and we talk about it all the time, but what's going to happen when they go to this super conference? Are they going to have 12 games where it's just an NFL schedule? Is that what we're doing? I don't know, but they've talked about not wanting 9 games. They've had 8 games for a while. They don't want 9 games. Mm-hmm. And 9 games is tough in the SEC, and you've got those 3 permanent games that they always have. But, that's not an easy schedule, guys. It really isn't. And then if they do this super conference stuff that we've talked about for months and years, I'm just worried about the state of the rest of them. That's my whole thing. I just don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if they're going to have a 12-game schedule, or they're still going to have some Middle Tennessee, some Western Kentucky, some Troy, some on the schedule, or they can make I don't know how this goes. So it's going to be interesting to see in the next couple of years how this all plays out.
In the chat room on YouTube, somebody asking, did Kelly watch the Iowa State K-State game? Iowa State's right tackle couldn't block a statue, and K-State got 2 quick sacks blitzing by him, and then they only blitzed through him one more time.
Well, yeah, that's not good. When your your tackles are struggling on the edge by themselves, as an offensive staff, you got to go over there and you got to say, hey, we got to do something. We either got to put a tight end over there to make it longer for him, to kind of chip him. We got to bring the tight end kind of to help him, or you got to chip him with a back. I did not see that game. I was not home, but yeah, when you're struggling, I've been in games like that, guys. When you're struggling blocking the edges, and they don't have to send pressure. When you're struggling with a Bruce Smith or with guys out on the edge, there's something you got to do with them, because they can wreck a total game for you. I've been in instances like that, and sometimes we did something, sometimes we didn't, and when we didn't, we got beat. So it sucks when you can't block the guys up front. It really does.
Speaking of that game, I brought it up at the very top of the show. After the game, K-State quarterback Avery Johnson's father and brother got into a brawl in the parking lot in Ireland. And obviously it was raining, so there's a big old puddle right next to them as well. Obviously, the video circulated on social media. It showed them on the ground in an altercation. People are standing around, walking out of the stadium watching this. They finally walk away from each other. They did put out an apology. According to the statement, senseless bickering escalated into an unnecessary fight. We have resolved our differences and take full responsibility for our actions. We have apologized to our immediate and extended family and now extend our apologies to K-State University, its alumni, and fans. And I thought Bill made a good point, Kelly. Look, it's college football. This is the first game of the season. You're in Ireland. Alcohol was probably involved in some way, form, or fashion. Obviously, you don't want it to get to this. But what I thought about during the break, how does this affect Avery Johnson? Because after the game, he's looking at his phone, and I mean, with the social media world, he knows immediately. I mean, what happens. I'm hoping this doesn't affect him much throughout the season. Obviously, they've apologized and hopefully resolved their differences. But after a loss like that, then you see that. I mean, that's not fun.
No, it is not. It's not fun for a dad to get into it. I with the other brother, and just reading some of the, and I don't know anything, and you get on social media, and I saw some of the posts that they were talking about, but if that's been going on for a while, he's probably used to it. Now, I don't know if he's used to that, what just happened, but I just, that was not a good look for K-State. That was not a good look, and it has nothing to do with K-State. It's their family. I just does not have a good look about it. And when you get to bickering like that, and Bill even said it, like when you get alcohol involved, sometimes emotions get heated, and they didn't win the game. They didn't look good. They were expected to win the game. He's expected to be this and that, and everybody's expecting a big season from K-State, and it just didn't. Sometimes that happens. That's what you go out on the gridiron. You go in between those lines and you play for. We can sit around and talk about it all day and prognosticate who we think's going to win and where we think the matchups are and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, those teams in 11 on 11 that are on the field at the same time have to decide that game, and they obviously didn't play good, and Dad got upset about it, and brother was upset about it, and I don't know, just not good, man. I would not want it to have had that situation happen while I was playing, because that's
no.
People are they're talking about that other than talking about things that they should be talking about.
It got me thinking too. In this world of social media, I ended up watching the Manti Te'o documentary on Netflix, and obviously that was unbelievable to watch in real time. But to go back and watch some of the behind the scenes stuff that was going on was unbelievable. I can't imagine right now. Kelly, you played in an era where, what was it, flip phones were the only, I mean, at MTSU,
absolutely.
Like in college, you were probably looking at the newspapers and the news that night, and that was it. But now it's immediate. After the game, these kids all have phones, and they've got Twitter, unless some of them are. I mean, it's probably smart on their end to delete them if they do have a Twitter. But that's hard. That's tough. I can't imagine the pressure some of these kids, especially quarterbacks, and now that money's involved. Whew.
I tried to stay away from that stuff, but you're absolutely right. We didn't have phones back then. I had to dial star 21 to get out of my dorm room with the phone, man. It was it's kind of crazy, man. And I was reading Jeff from Murfreesboro, Jeff Neal's articles in the sideline sometimes. So he covered me during college, and that's. I don't know. All this stuff is instant now. The information is instant. I don't like it. I like what Stetson Bennett did a couple of years ago. I don't even think he had a cell phone. Like when you're a quarterback of a big time school like that, you can't make everybody happy. Or when you're a quarterback, or when you're playing sports anywhere, you can't make everybody happy. Some people, like, you can do everything right, but some people are going to like you, some people are going to dislike you. And when people start posting stuff and you start reading it and you get involved in that, your mind is not focused on what it needs to be focused on. You're focused on winning football games and being the best person and being the best player that you can be and helping your team win ball games. And when you start looking at that stuff, that just gets you angry. You want to fight everybody. And I don't know. I'll be honest, Billy, I don't know how your generation, this younger generation, deals with all that stuff, because I don't get on I don't know how to get on Facebook. I don't get on Instagram. I don't get on X. I don't know. I don't even know how to get on that stuff. The only thing that I get on is YouTube. I watch YouTube, and I watch about like nutrition and stuff like that. But like this, internet world, this instant information is it's only getting worse. It's not getting any better.
There's somebody on YouTube before we go to the break. How did Coach Donnelly punish players that got unsportsmanlike conduct penalties by doing stupid stuff?
Well, they would get some unkind words right then, but then when we went back to practice and say we lost that game or something because of that, yeah, that was not good. You were having to do some stadium steps, you were having to do some up downs, you were having to do some stupidness when it came to that. He was not fond of that stuff.
The wrath of Boots. I can't imagine what that was like.
Yeah, he was a taskmaster, man. I got myself in trouble a lot of times too. When I first went there, I had I used to run my mouth. I was cocky, and I would say things to him. He would say stuff to me. Like the first game we ever had was at Vanderbilt Stadium. We played TSU, and I could tell Coach was really nervous, and he was walking around. I don't know if he was puffing on a cigarette, but I went up to him and I smacked his butt and I said, "Coach, relax, man. It's going to be okay." That's just kind of how. And I just turned 18. I was an 18-year-old diaper dandy freshman that I don't like. I had never even really spoken to Coach Donnelly, and I went up and patted him on the butt. And I was like, "Relax, man. It's going to be okay."
I can only imagine some of those conversations between y'all two, and some of those experiences. But Kelly, I want to go to the break. We'll take some more calls. Well, we haven't taken any calls yet, actually.
Yeah, we have no red-blooded Americans. What's going on, dude?
Well, usually I think this is the time we typically open up 4:30, 4:40. So we may have some of our normal callers here come in here. But we do have the chat room open as well, so you can text in. You can fire away any comments or questions. Again, the number 615-759-9949. If you want to hop in, phone lines wide open, 615-759-9949. Hop in on the phone lines, and we'll get to you right away. More talk coming up here on 94.9 The Fan.
When I got my first car, my dad told me, keep the gas tank full and my number on speed dial. Now parents are telling their kids, save 615-242-9000 just in case. I'm Blair Durham. If you or someone you love is in a wreck, call us. We're here to get you the money you deserve.
Nashville Sounds Baseball is back in Hit City for the 2025 season. Create a summer of memories at the ballpark with weekly giveaways, fireworks shows, and more. Tickets are on sale now.
Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall is the new home for our Football Night in Nashville promotion. Their food is terrific. Their TV setup looks like a racing sports book in Vegas. And if you're a sports fan, you can't beat it. Starting September the 4th, we'll broadcast from Sports and Social every Thursday night. There's Pop-A-Shot, great football, and the chance to win a beautiful Mikey's Motors golf cart. See you at Sports and Social in Green Hills Mall. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. George@gmail.com. We will fit your budget and your needs.
A lot of people people want to define teams by singular performances.
Sports. Did he not go back into the game after that interception?
Let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't.
Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
A Monday, Reaction Monday in Nashville, or the George Plaster Show. No George this week. He'll be back shortly on Thursday. He'll be popping in for Underdog Picks, so we'll get him back on Thursday for part of that show, but well-earned vacation, and phones are quiet. But, Kelly, I want to go take a look at some of these games. I know I'm already chomping at the bit, so I could talk about – I think every show in my mind during college football season could be about college football. But I want to run through some of these and get your take, because we haven't talked a ton, at least today, about Tennessee-Syracuse. We've talked a lot about that matchup with Tony. I look at that and I go, okay, on one hand, Tennessee is more talented. They're more physical. Their defensive line should be able to get after Steve Angeli, the former Notre Dame quarterback, who played a little bit last year and played well at times in some of his relief efforts. How do you look at that with Tennessee, and do you think Tennessee is primed to wear them down, or do you think this Syracuse team is a team that could potentially knock them down?
No, I do not. I don't think that's the case. I just think it's one of those things that I asked Bill Bender about the quarterback situation, like Joey Aguilar. Like, he's got a lot of experience, turns the ball over quite a bit, and I don't think you can do that where he's at right now. In the SEC, you cannot turn the ball over like that. And I don't think they'll have any problem with Syracuse. I really don't. But it's just all the unknowns, and that's what these coaches. It's the unknown for all these coaches right now with new guys that are playing. That's what it is every year. Guys that you brought in through the transfer portal, are they going to mesh with your team? Well, you should know by now, but you really don't know until you get out there on the football field on Saturdays. So I don't think Tennessee will have a problem with Syracuse. George has talked about Kyle McCord, which I was really shocked at how well he played after I saw him at Ohio State. That just shows you the pressure that's on the Ohio State quarterback. And they've got a young guy in the Sayin kid, and it's going to be interesting to see how he plays, but I don't think Tennessee will have problems with Syracuse. I really don't, because I think defensively Tennessee's really good. I think Coach Banks has got those guys. They were good last year, and they got guys up front. They got depth up front. I think they can run. They've got linebackers. Maybe some question marks in the secondary, but I don't think they'll have problems with the Orangemen.
The thing I'll say about this game is we saw in Hawaii, Stanford, for example, that was a tight line. Obviously, this Tennessee Syracuse line is bigger than just 2.5. That's what we had in Hawaii, Stanford. But like you said, you were surprised to see Stanford look the way they looked. I mean, it's and that's week 0. But same thing with Iowa State, K-State. A lot of the talk heading into that was Avery Johnson, K-State, and they've got the better quarterback, therefore they're primed, and that's why they're the favorite in this game. Turns out that wasn't the case. And so I do think the one thing on Syracuse's side is that, you know what you're getting in Joey Aguilar in terms of, right, a good deep ball, but he also led the nation in interceptions last year. So
and he hasn't been in this offense, Billy. That's what I talked about, Bill, and that's what I stress to people out there. Like, if you haven't been in an offense, you don't know the intricate details of the offense. He's only been in there for 3 or 4 months, so you have to play it and you have to see it on film. You can practice it all you can, but until you get out there and you get in certain situations, you really don't know the offense inside and out until you get in those situations, and that's what's That's what's bothering me about these quarterbacks transferring all over the place.
I want to fast forward to Sunday night, Notre Dame in Miami, and obviously Bill broke this down in a way that I agreed with. Like, yeah, CJ Carr is relatively unproven and hasn't played really much at all for Notre Dame, but he's one of their own. He's been at Notre Dame. He's been in the system. This is not a Sam Hartman, Riley Leonard type that they've brought in as a transfer guy and has to learn the offense, really in one offseason. This CJ Carr kid, we'll see what we get from him. But, Kelly, there's still a ton of talent around him, whether it's Jeremiah Love at running back. He's similar to a lot of the other unproven quarterbacks in the country where, yeah, they may not have a ton of experience, but just like Julian's saying at Ohio State, just drive the car, drive that Lamborghini because you got a ton of talent around you.
That's right, and I don't think you would know better than me. I don't think they lost many guys, right? I mean, I'm not sure that Notre Dame lost many people, and they were in the national championship game last year. So Marcus Freeman's done a really good job of depth up there, and you're right. Even though he hasn't played much on the field, he's got experience in that offense, and I promise you, experience in an offense of being around it for a little while, it helps guys because they feel comfortable in it, and when the situation presents itself, at the end of the game, when they got to make plays, I would want a guy that's been in the system, although he hadn't played much, but he's been in the system other than a guy that this is his first time and he's a one-year mercenary. So I don't know how that game's going to go. It's in Miami, Billy. I think the crowd's going to be raucous. They got Carson Beck, so I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see just how good Notre Dame is and how they can come back from being in the national championship game last year, and what can they do in consecutive years?
The other one that I've gone back and forth on is LSU Clemson, because on one hand, LSU, yeah, there's pressure on Brian Kelly. We know what we're getting from Garrett Nussmeier, as talented as he is. But this Clemson team is pretty legit. They're one of the more talented teams in the country that people, I think, are sleeping on a little bit. But at least maybe a lot of people in the SEC, at least around the country, I think there's some awareness at what Clemson has this year. But I've gone back and forth on this, Kelly. I know Clemson right now, at least on Yahoo Sports, they're listed as a 3.5-point favorite, and that's at Death Valley Junior that LSU fans call. But I've gone back and forth. I don't quite know. I may lean LSU, but I've been going back and forth on this one.
The thing I like about this game is they got two quarterbacks that have been in the system for a long time. We've been talking about that the whole show. That's what I like, Garrett Nussmeier and Cade Klubnik. So I think that, and that's why I asked Bill Bender the question about Dabo Swinney. Can he bring Clemson back to the elite level? And I think this may be the team that gets him back to where he was when he was facing Alabama in the national championship for 2 years in a row. So it's going to be interesting. That's going to be another interesting game because LSU, I think Brian Kelly's got a little, I don't know if he's on the hot seat. I don't think we've talked about that, but he's lost 5 in a row. Home or away openers.
Yeah.
So I'm just not. It's going to be a great game, man. And I look to see it, and I think Dabo gets that. I think Dabo gets back to where he was this year. I think people are kind of sleeping on him, and they're not talking about Clemson, and I think they're better than people think they are.
I'm with you, because you look at what Clemson still has from last year. You mentioned Cade Klubnik, and Bill Bender mentioned Antonio Williams. They're sort of back to what we know Clemson being, in the back-to-back national titles, with all those defensive linemen. You almost, for a little bit, for the last few years, forgot what Clemson was and thought that Dabo may not ever quite get back to that level. But talent-wise, Kelly, and I think that's a good question for Bill. Are they back to that elite status this year? Because the people you can talk about it all you want, and you can read magazines and look at the latest top 10 rankings, but they got to go do it on the field. And this is the most pressure-packed game, I think, of the weekend, because we talk about Texas, Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
There's pressure, but those two teams are talented enough, and they've already set themselves up on paper they can lose this and they'll still be fine. You look at LSU's schedule. If they lose to Clemson, there's more pressure on them. There's already pressure on Brian Kelly. But for Clemson, they want to win this one to prove they are back to that elite status. So this is the most pressure-packed game.
Well, and another thing that I'm thinking about when you're talking about Dabo Swinney, he refused to get in the transfer portal. He said to begin with, I'm going to build mine from the ground up. And, the Klubnik kid has been there his whole time. He hasn't transferred. He stayed. He was loyal to the deal. And I think that's the kind of program that Dabo Swinney's got. And I think it's probably going to pay off for him this year, because I really do. I think they're going to be better than people think they are. I think they're kind of an afterthought, but I think this year, I think they're going to come back on the scene.
I'm with you. And look, it starts with that game, LSU Clemson, Saturday night in Death Valley. You got the Battle of the Death Valleys. So obviously a big weekend coming up here in college football. We're going to hit the break and have a little bit of an extended bet of the day. I'm making the picks this week, Kelly.
Oh,
and George,
gosh,
he's ice cold right now. I mean, he has not. I don't even know the last time he won a game. So
that's awesome.
So we're gonna get some bets in coming right up, but keep it right here on 94.9 The Fan.
Now, here's your latest Fox 17 Code Red weather report.
Fox 17 meteorologist Brett Luna. Our first taste of fall is here, and it's going to be sticking around with us for the next several days. Highs through Thursday will only be in the lower 80s, and the humidity won't be bad either. There's only about a 20% chance for a few isolated showers on Thursday.
Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network.
The wait is over. The largest sports book in Kentucky is now open at the Mint Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs. Feel the rush of every play in a venue built for sports fans. Catch all your favorite games with an 80-foot screen, stadium-style seating, and live daily broadcasts from VSiN, the sports betting network. Plus, download the Circa Sports Kentucky mobile app today and start betting like a pro anywhere in Kentucky. The largest sports book in Kentucky, Circa Sports, is now open at the Mint Gaming Hall, Kentucky Downs.
Every child deserves to start the school year with confidence. For over 5,000 kids in Middle Tennessee, that's not always possible. A donation of just $20 provides a new pair of athletic shoes, giving a child one less thing to worry about. That's Souls for the 615, brought to you by Cromwell Media and Souls for Souls. We've teamed up to make sure every child in our community steps into the year ready, and we need your help. Head to thegamenashville.com/shoes and donate today, because every child deserves to walk into school with pride.
This is the energy of space and sound. With 3 rows of premium seating, this is the 7-passenger Acura MDX. This is the energy of innovation. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Experience the thrill at Gary Force Acura, proud sponsor of the Nashville Predators. GaryForceAcura.com.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9 The Fan.
It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Final segment on a Reaction Monday. Time now for Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. George is ice cold, but I'm here to get him back on track, get things back up and rolling in a positive way. We're going to take a look at what happened over the weekend.
Wow.
Lost with K-State, took the -3 there. Obviously, the Wildcats went down. Had Stanford plus 2.5. They lost to Hawaii after that game-winning field goal. And by the way, I meant to mention this. This story was crazy. The game-winning field goal was booted in by, and I'm forgetting the kid's name, but he learned how to kick field goals on YouTube by watching YouTube videos. And I think he grew up in Japan. So that's I forgot to mention that. But so Hawaii gets it in, gets the win over Stanford, and then he had the over 50.5 in the Kansas Fresno game. I don't think Kansas ended up getting close enough to that number. Fresno, I don't think, scored a whole lot. So tough weekend, tough start for George in football. But I'm going to go back to baseball because there's no football. It's probably a good thing there's no football on tonight because football season's a lot tougher. Kelly, I'm going to go with the Mets tonight. They are facing off with the Phillies, and there's somebody on the mound for the Mets. Let's see. That I chose the Mets for. So they're a plus 110 against the Phillies, and the Mets are obviously struggling a little bit right now. But I'm going baseball, and I'm kind of throwing that out there. Mets over the Phillies, money line. And the total there is 7.5 in this, so there could be a good amount of runs scored in that one. You got Kodai Senga in that game going for the Mets tonight against Carlos Sanchez. He's really good for the Phillies, but I'm going baseball, Kelly. Try to turn things around for George.
Well, good luck, Billy. You know I really mean that. Good luck.
Oh, absolutely. That's very heartfelt. But no. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to talk with Tony Basilio. And throughout the football season, we've got a special announcement, and I'll probably make that announcement tomorrow. But we'll continue to talk college football. May try to get somebody on from the Syracuse perspective and talk a little bit of Syracuse and keep talking college football, potentially some NFL as well. So, Kelly, see you tomorrow, and we'll be back with you here tomorrow on 94.9 The Fan.
See you, brother.